We're live, everybody.
Oh, we're live. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this morning's official UFC 287 weigh-in stream, brought to you by the fine folks at MMA Fighting. That was the voice of Mike Heck bring us in. This is the voice of Alexander K. Lee. Thankfully, you can see us, and you can also see the beautiful Prime Energy sponsored scale brought to you by the Jose Youngs, who has been on site in lovely Miami all week, and is the one, he's going to be taking care of the footage as always. Say hi to America, Jose.
Hola.
Look at so Miami. Gosh, he's there for a few days.
Bro,
he
you have
goes
no
full
idea.
Miami.
This is the first city in America I've ever been to where no matter who you talk to, whether it be a Uber driver, taxi driver, waiter, bellhop, whatever, their first thing is they start talking to you in Spanish. They just assume you speak Spanish.
That's great.
I love it.
Good. Yeah, I like that. That's great. I was going to say, I thought you were going to say this is the first city you've been to in a while where like literally everyone is buzzing about UFC 287, which I don't know if that's the case. I just thought that would be given, Jorge Masvidal, first time there in 20 years. Does there feel like did any of that come up, Jose? Did you mention, like, oh, I'm in town, and then the first thing they say is, are you here for the UFC? Yeah.
No, they asked me, are you here for the Jorge Masvidal?
Oh.
That has nothing to do with the UFC 287. It could have been like, it obviously would have been sold out no matter what, but people go, oh, are you here for Jorge's? Like, that's what it is. It's not UFC. This is the Jorge show.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. I even felt that way during the press conference. It's like, obviously you have to have the title fight at the top. It's a huge fight for Adesanya. There's a rematch, fourth fight, whatever you want to call it. But like, man, if you were watching that press conference and you didn't know anything about anybody, you would have thought that Masvidal, I feel like you would have thought Masvidal was the main event, and Masvidal and Gilbert Burns. But that's something that would have maybe been a UFC main event in the mid 2000s. Now with they got all the titles, they got 12 events a year, 12, 13, 14 pay-per-views a year. They got to have a title fight at the top. That's how it is. Except for the last time Jorge Masvidal fought. I mean, Colby Covington, but there's always exceptions. So, Mike, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I mean, Aaron understands what's up here. Need a good poll to start my day.
Oh gosh, that's
do we have a poll?
I don't. Yeah, you know what? I want to focus. What do we got? Oh, we got. Okay, hold on. We'll do a quick easy one. Before sometimes it's just good, quick, mean, and dirty poll. That's what I always say. And let's get someone in there. Oops, I gotta log into the.
While AK's figuring that out.
Yeah, Mike, give him some sugar.
People are wondering, whether Pereira is going to be a last second guy or if he's going to show up early. Jose, you're there. I don't know if you have any visuals on who is waiting in line to be the first fighters to step on the scale, but what do we think?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Oh,
do you see anybody?
I see a lot of people congregate around the door, but in Miami, they come from the right, not the left. So I can't see into the door.
What?
This is Florida, so everything's on the right. Everything is right.
That is wild.
AK, you're the host here. Are we allowed to talk about Kevin Holland here?
I don't know. I'm scared. Will we be demonetized? Will we lose our credentials? That we don't want to be like that miscreant Oscar Willis the other day, who, my goodness, asking about a relevant news story that had literally occurred within 24 hours that people were very interested in. I don't know what he's doing, trying to get more information, trying to do actual reporting. Thank goodness that Dana White shot that down, because who knows, Mike, they might have accidentally generated interest in a future fight, because we don't want that.
Caesar planted. These two guys can fight each other no matter what happens on Saturday.
Easily. It's such a logical matchup. But Mike, the time for that promotion will come at a later day.
True.
All right. Not during this. Oh, here we go.
UFC 287 Pereira versus Adesanya and our first athlete to the stage. One of the men around whom this fight card was built, the future Hall of Famer, former UFC middleweight champion, last style bender, Israel Adesanya.
There he comes, Israel Adesanya.
One 184.5, the official weight for Israel Adesanya.
184.5 for Israel Adesanya. 1/2 official for Saturday's middleweight championship main event.
All right, next athlete to the scale, you can see it compete live on ESPN, the number 10 ranked show in the world, Michelle Waterson-Gomez.
Michelle Waterson-Gomez, the consummate professional. Here she comes. She's making her 13th UFC appearance. Sitting at 6-6, facing the talented, dangerous Luana Pinheiro. See if she can stay above 500 or drop below, I think, for the first time in her UFC career.
116 for Michelle Waterson-Gomez.
116 for Michelle Waterson-Gomez. No problem there. 1 pound allowance. Let's go.
All right, next athlete to the stage, competing live on pay-per-view, the number 6 ranked bantamweight in the world out of Gilbert, Massachusetts, Rob.
Member of the New England Cartel, well, Mr. Rob Font.
They got
Back on get back. Yeah, you know, they mention it sometimes. Looking to get back on the winning track. Very, very tough matchup. He is an underdog against Adrian Yanez.
It's weight 135 for Rob Font.
135 for Rob Font. Championship weight.
Our next letter competes in freedom in the featherweight division, Shailan Nurdanbeka.
Shailan Nurdanbeka.
The official weight for Shailan Nurdanbeka.
146 for Shailan Nurdanbeka. No problem again, using the 1 pound allowance. I don't recall what happened in this last fight. Nothing eventful, I don't think.
The featured Freeland in the middleweight division live on ESPN, the 14th ranked contender, the Action Man, Chris Curtis.
The Action Man, Chris Curtis, big HP Lovecraft fan, with one caveat. But, he's here. Big fight with one-time UFC title challenger Kelvin Gastelum up ahead.
£186, the official weight for Chris Curtis.
186 for Chris Curtis. Loving life at 185. I've never had to drop back down to 170. This guy is having a great time. 186 for the Action Man. Chris Curtis.
Number 15 ranked middleweight in the world, Kelvin Gastelum.
And here's his opponent, Calvin Gastelum. Now, Mike, I'm assuming we do not have music this morning.
I mean, if I was more prepared, we would.
I may have, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll just do a cappella. Let's go. $185. 185 championship weight for Calvin Gastelum. His fight with Chris Curtis is now official. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my lord!
It's better, I think, than the. I think we should just take that as a sample and use that instead of the.
Can't get demonetized. You can't demonetize it. Copyright.
That was something special.
I'll save it for that. Hurt my throat a little bit.
Welterweight division, Kevin Trailblazer Holland.
Kevin Holland. the aforementioned.
$170.5. The official weight for Kelvin Holland.
170.5 for Mr. Kevin Holland. Again, he's also
Welcome
got a
to the
big fight.
stage, also competing live on pay-per-view, the 12th ranked bantamweight in the world, Adrian Yanez.
Here comes Adrian Yan. A lot of buzz around this man. Undefeated in the UFC bantamweight division so far. Big things expected. 5-0 so far. He's got to get past top 10 ranked Rob Font.
$135.5 for Adrian Yanez.
135.5 for Adrian Yanez, and his fight with Rob Font is official. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun-dun-dun.
Nice.
The UFC strawweight division, Loopy Godinez.
Loopy Godinez should be fighting Cynthia Calvillo.
$115.5. The official weight for Loopy Godinez.
115.5 for Loopy Godinez. Again, we're waiting for our opponent, Cynthia Calvillo, as well.
All right, next fighter to the stage, competing live on ESPN in the middleweight division, Joe Pyfer.
Joe Pyfer. Be this man, they say. That is the buzz around Joe Pyfer. Be him. Not getting an easy fight at all for a second UFC appearance.
Official weight body bags, Joe Pyfer.
185.5 for Mr. Joe Pyfer, and he faces Gerald Meerschaert, who will fight literally anyone. Top prospect, top 15 guy. He does not care. He loves playing the spoiler. Big, big, big test for Joe Pyfer.
All right, now back to the featherweight division as we say hello to Mean Machine Steve Garcia.
Steve Garcia coming up next.
$145.5. The official weight for Steve Garcia.
145.5 for Steve Garcia. And his fight with Sherman Nerdenbeke is official.
All right, next fighter
And
to
hopefully,
the scale,
controversy.
next weight 160 pounds. Chile's Ignacio Bahmondes.
Ignacio Bahmondes up next. Ignacio fighting Trey Ogden. This is a catchweight bout I'm seeing, so people don't be alarmed. Do not be alarmed, please, if you see Ignacio come in above the 155 limit. I'm seeing this is a catchweight. Let me just double check that. Yeah, he should be fine. Okay, so 159.5 for Ignacio Bahmondes. This is a 160-pound catchweight bout. People do not be alarmed. This is a scheduled 160-pound catchweight bout. 159.5 for Ignacio.
Welterweight contender competing live on pay-per-view, Santiago Ponzinibbio.
And now we have Mr. Holland's opponent, the sizable favorite, minus 200 on DraftKings, Santiago Ponzinibbio. A lot of respect for the veteran. He's still beaming from Argentina's World Cup win. He got a lot of World Cup questions this week, and he seemed very happy to answer them every time. No fatigue there. No World Cup fatigue for this man.
$171, the official weight for Santiago Ponzinibbio.
171 using the 1 pound allowance. The veteran, why not? He deserves it. 171 for Santiago Ponzinibbio. We are cruising through here as we always do within the first 15, 20 minutes of the weigh-ins. No misses so far for anyone just tuning in. Keep an eye, guys. We'll have a little ticker at the bottom eventually. We're looking for some of the weights. Sam Hughes, Sam Page. One of the sneaky tough fighters in the strawweight division. A lot of people counting her out against Jacqueline Amarim, but she's a tough out.
116 pounds, the official weight for Sam Hughes.
116, 116 for Sam Hughes. She and Jacqueline Amarim will be opening up the preliminary card. Here is Gerald, GM3.
The official weight for GM3, Gerald Meerschaert.
185.5 for Gerald Meerschaert. Slight underdog to Joe Pyfer, plus 155 on DraftKings right now. So if you guys think that Gerald's going to stir S up as he usually does, maybe sprinkle a little cash down there. Plus 155 on Gerald right now. If I look at the props, I'm sure Meerschaert by submission is probably also plus 275 Meerschaert by submission. So never gamble on MMA. Mike, what do I always say? Never gamble on MMA. But plus 275 Meerschaert by submission.
I like the live bet option on Gerald Meerschaert.
Of course,
because this is a very real world that Pyfer gets him out of there in the first round. Like there's a very real world that happens, but if it doesn't happen, then I think Meerschaert is extremely live. So Pyfer has like a big first round and Meerschaert gets through it. Meerschaert's probably gonna be like a plus 5 something. Might want to wait a little bit.
Like this is like the Makwan Amirkhani. What's his last fight? Makwan and Jack Shore.
Yes.
Everyone was like, just wait for the live bet. Leave the fight alone. But after round 1, jump all over that Jack Shore. And sure enough, if you did that, you probably had yourself a very, very nice night. So, but yeah, we've got a little bit of rundown. So that fight is also official. Gerald Meerschaert and Joe Pyfer. And it looks like we have our first break. I'm going to make a little note in the comments at the top that Israel Adesanya has weighed in. So let me let people know.
The ticker is live.
The
so
ticker
you can
is
see
live.
Who has weighed in, who has not weighed in.
And
as
at
of right now,
184.5, we are still waiting for Alex Pereira. Not super surprising. Alex Pereira is gigantic. And I don't know if he's taking time to cut the last of the weight. But if he is, I don't think anyone would be surprised. The poll that is up right now is, what fight are you anticipating more at UFC 280? I should have said most. Terrible grammar. At UFC 287, of course, the main event rematch, Pereira versus Adesanya 2, Burns versus Masvidal, Font versus Yanez, and other. Pereira versus Adesanya 2, well ahead, 71%. I'm sure if you polled the folks in Miami, it might be a different story. But this is an international poll, and of course, people want to see that rematch. It is a title fight. It's a great rematch. The first fight, super compelling. A lot of people saying 4-0 in the comments. Maybe. Mike, I don't know how you feel about it. I know you've spoken to Jed. I've spoken to Jed quite a bit this week. He's brought this up many times. The gambler's fallacy of Israel Adesanya is due. I'm kind of leaning that way as well. I just think, and not just based on, again, if you've watched the previous fights, there's enough evidence to talk yourself into like, well, Israel Adesanya is the better fighter. Unfortunately, there's also evidence that he's not the better fighter because Alex Pereira is 3-0 and has defeated him by knockout twice. So, like, I don't know where you landed on that. Where did you land on that this morning? Is this just a case of gambler's fallacy, or are we being realistic when we say, well, Izzy can't lose to this guy 4 times?
I mean, that's kind of like, I don't look at it from a gambler's perspective, but I just feel like he's due to win. You know what I mean? Like he's been winning every one of these fights until he hasn't. So I don't know. I just feel like I just feel like he can't lose 4 times in a row to Pereira. I mean, he could, but until I see it, I don't believe it. So I'm leaning Adesanya here, but to be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea. I have no read on this fight. Absolutely none. Like if Adesanya is this is gonna be one of those fights where it's king of the mountain, right? Like both guys need to push forward. They need to move forward and try to get the other guy on the back foot. We could have just two trains colliding until somebody falls down. Like that's kind of the fight I expect to happen. I know Adesanya's like very technically savvy, good movement, all that. And Pereira is just one of those guys you can't let it hang around too long. But I just feel like I'm kind of with Jed in a way where I think Adesanya just needs to be super aggressive and just go after it. Like meet in the middle, throw, and if you go out on your shield, you go on your shield. But I feel like that's his best chance to win this fight. But I don't know. I don't have a good read on this one, but my gut is telling me a much more aggressive Israel Adesanya wins this fight. But if we get the same sort of guy that we've seen post Paulo Costa, then I think Pereira is going to get him at some point over the 25 minutes. But it's such a tough, fascinating fight to call, man. Like it really is. But right this second, I'm leaning Adesanya because I expect him to address that issue that he had in the first fight where he was looking good, almost got Pereira out of there, and then kind of took his foot off the gas a little bit. And he can't take his foot off the gas here. He needs to have his, he mentioned 8 Mile as a movie that he wants to live by. I think he needs to be Rocky 3 here. I think he needs to be Rocky Balboa in the rematch against Apollo Creed and just let it go.
That's Rocky.
And just
That's
let
Rocky
the chips
2.
fall where they may. No, Rocky 2 is the rematch with Apollo.
You said Rocky 3.
Rocky 3 is Clubber Lang. When he fights Clubber Lang.
But you said Rocky 3. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he needs a Rocky 3 moment. Because he fights Clubber Lang twice in Rocky 3. Gets his ass beat and gets deaded by Clubber Lang, and then goes back to the drawing board, trains with Apollo, and then the game plan is 6 rounds. We're just going to unload the clip. We got to get him out of there. So I kind of think that's what Adesanya has to do to win this fight. But what do I know? I honestly, and I'm asking that seriously, I have no idea how this fight's going to go.
I was trying to think this morning. We've never really had, and this was a story going into the first fight, but I mean, and the fact that Alex Pereira actually pulled it off makes it even more insane. And by the way, people, of course, if you want to kind of a refresher on the, this strange cross-sport rivalry that's spanned the past 7 years. Of course, there's a UFC timeline video on the YouTubes right now. Please check that out, put together by Casey Leiden and the team. Jackson Bass. CM Punk never saw Rocky.
Incredible comment.
We have UFC timeline edition for UFC 287 edition of Timeline on the YouTube. Guys, make sure to check that out. Also some fun stuff from Jose getting some answers on fighters' thoughts on this WWE UFC merger. Don't really want to talk about it too much today. I'm sure if you guys, we'll take some questions later and it comes up. But the general consensus seems to be, listen, we don't know what's going to happen. It would be fun if there was crazy crossovers, but so far, both sides. I mean, Dana White just said, don't expect to see much crossover. That's a Dana said moment. Make of that what you will. And Chris Curtis had a great answer, of course. As far as I know, my pay is the same, so I don't give it. He was a little more profane than I was, but yeah, he just not particularly interested in the merger until it affects his paycheck, which I think if you're a fighter is really the right way to consider this. So great stuff on the YouTube from our guys, Jose Youngs, EK Leiden, and the team. So guys, make sure to check that out. But yeah, Mike, this would be like if Joe Duffy had fought his way back to a fight with Conor McGregor, or if Dennis Hallman had somehow gotten a UFC fight with Matt Hughes. There's just no. Those are even different because at least those happen in MMA. We don't really have an equivalent where the UFC managed to successfully bring someone in from another field and be and somehow managed to get their way back. Now, this was very well done, well orchestrated by the UFC. Every time they booked Pereira, I mean, you and I were nodding our head, just going yes, good. Keep matching him up with strikers. People want to see this rematch. That clip of him knocking him out in the second fight has circulated for years. Even when people didn't know who Alex Pereira was, they were talking about the clip. They're like, oh, this huge guy in kickboxing smoked Izzy, smoked him. And it was just it didn't tell the whole story of the fight, but that's all it needed. And then they played it off so well. But yeah, Mike, you're right. I don't know how to predict this fourth fight because there's just nothing like it. People are bringing up again, Marquez and Pacquiao, but again, at least that was all boxing. At least that all happened in boxing. But to go different sports, chase a guy into a second one, and beat him again, it's I don't know if we'll see it again, but it's the first time for everything in this crazy business.
It's just a great matchup. It's a great rivalry, even though it's been 3-0. And even if it's 4-0, it's still a compelling storyline, like from start to finish to get to this point. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just fascinated by the matchup, and let the chips fall where they may. I think we're all going to enjoy this fight. Like, I think this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I think so too. The first fight was compelling in its own way. I don't know if people, because of that Pereira power, like, I don't know. I'm not saying it's like a classic title fight, but you go back and watch it, and kind of when you know how it ends, I feel like it makes it almost more interesting because, it looked like Izzy he certainly wasn't cruising, but again, if that hadn't happened fifth round, was on his way to a decision win. But the power of Pereira was always lingering, and when you watch it, knowing how it ends, you're like, oh man, how did Izzy? You start to immediately wonder what Izzy could have done differently. And again, we've gone over ad nauseum what he could have done. Should he be more aggressive? Should he, and we'll see on Saturday. So it's good stuff. Izzy, by the way, speaking of him, currently going off on USADA testing.
Yes.
All right, people, you can go to his Twitter right now. He's talking about it. He tweeted yesterday, I guess it was yesterday evening, and now he's tweeting now. So always entertaining. Always entertaining Izzy Adesanya.
I think people should go back and watch the fight again from 281. Like, I went back and watched it on Monday, and then I watched it again on Wednesday. It's a really interesting fight. And the reason I bring up the aggression so much is that no matter who you talk about, the aggressive fighter on both sides, the one who was moving forward, the one who wasn't going backwards, they were having all the success in the fight. All of it. The guy that was moving forward and was the aggressor was having the success. And Adesanya was aggressive a lot of times. And when he turned that aggression up, like, I'm not saying he needs to go out and do Cody Garbrandt, Pedro Munoz style, where he just gets hit and he's like, rah! I'm not saying that, but you just can't do a distance kickboxing match with this guy for 25 minutes. You can't. You're going to get hit at some point, and that dude can crack. So I don't know. When Adesanya was aggressive, he was having success. So it's just a matter of, can he hold that up? Because, I mean, again, if you go back and watch that first round, like, Izzy looked great in that first round and almost got him out of there. It's one of those things where if he had another 10 or 15 seconds, Adesanya is knocking him out in the first round. We're not even having this conversation right now. But again, I don't know. There's just so many questions. Like, so many people are asking, is this too soon for Adesanya to come back after the November fight? Comparing it sort of to the Kamaru Usman Leon Edwards fight. And I don't think it's the same thing. Because Leon, kicked him in the face and deaded Kamaru Usman. It's not the same here. Like, a lot of people still feel like Adesanya. Or what was I going to say? Adesanya, that was an early stoppage. You know what I mean?
He wasn't knocked out cold. He wasn't
exactly. Yeah, he wasn't crushed.
Yeah.
He was still, like, defensively sound in some ways. He was hurt. There's no doubt about it. I don't have an issue with the stoppage at the end of the day. But there are some people who still feel like it's an early stoppage. And if you go back and watch the fight again, I don't think it's an early stoppage at all. Israel's body language was not good. He was done. It just would have gotten worse. So I have no issue with the stoppage at all. I have no idea how this fight's going to go. It's just so interesting seeing both guys' mindsets heading into this thing.
Yeah, Izzy should maybe thank Mark Goddard that he did kind of save him from getting knocked out clean, because I don't know. Well, we'll see how it affects this fight, because I do think if you've been knocked out cold, that's gonna affect you for doing an immediate rematch. But yeah, I don't have a problem with stoppage either. Now, let me tell you something. That stoppage was early, but that doesn't mean it was bad. I cannot. No,
it wasn't a bad. It was not a bad stoppage.
It was
the referee. The referee was talking to him.
Yep.
Multiple times saying, you got to do something. You got to do something. He was warning him over and over again. This is not Frank Collazo in there. Okay. It was not that.
Check that out at MMAfighting.com, by the way.
See that?
In-depth look at the Frank Collazo story.
Yeah, but I mean, he's telling him over and over again, like, you got to do something. You got to do something. You got to do something. He wasn't doing anything, and he was just getting hit. Like, he was getting cracked. So that was not a bad stoppage. It just wasn't. I don't even think it was early because he got plenty of time.
Yeah, exactly. You could even say it wasn't early, but I always say, listen, not all early stoppages are bad stoppages. An early stoppage just means you definitely saved someone probably from catching a beating. There's certainly more egregious examples. We talk a lot about it. Hokey Pokey Herb Dean has had some very, very bad early stoppages and bad late stoppages. But that for me was, again, sure, you want to call it early, that's fine. But I did not think it was bad. I think a referee can step in like a one punch or a couple punches too soon, and it's fine. You don't need to see a guy completely laid out, cold to know that a fight is over. I know people want to see that in a championship fight. They want to see it when you've got a guy like Izzy who's been dominant for so long. Like, you want to make sure. A lot of fans I want to make sure his run is done.
The young man.
You tricked me. I thought it was Raul Rosas Jr. You tricked me, Mike. It's one half the co-main event.
I mean, Gilbert looks a decade younger.
Should have come on like a baseball cap, like backwards baseball cap or something. $170 for Gilbert Burns. Of championship weight. Gotta love to see it again. A guy who I think should be in the championship discussion, but is apparently behind the queue, behind Colby and behind Jorge Masvidal. If Masvidal beats him on Saturday, obviously, even if he beats Jorge for some reason, apparently Gilbert is not in the running for a title shot, which is very strange to me. Maybe not the biggest name mainstream wise, but certainly deserving with some of the names he's taken out. Some of the performances he's had. Looked good against Kamaru Usman in the first round. I would love to see Gilbert Burns get a title shot with a win on Saturday. That is very likely not happening.
Oh, no chance.
He would have to be, again, Colby would have to get injured. He's a replacement option. He's on the short list, but he is not. Honestly, I don't know. He could knock out Masvidal in like 30 seconds, and they probably still would not give him the title shot. It's just the handling of the co-main event, which again, in the area in Miami is, more, as Jose has alluded to, is more talked about than the main event itself. The handling of this co-main has been so poor. And an example, exhibit number 5,483 of why Dana White is just terrible promoter. Just terrible.
The chat is like all sorts of grump today. It's incredible. Like, even when we say something they agree with, they still argue with us.
I think they're arguing.
Hilarious.
Are they arguing with each other?
They were arguing with us. They were calling us delusional for us saying it wasn't an early stoppage. What are you talking about? You're delusional.
Oh.
What are you talking about? We literally just said the exact same thing you just did. It was not an early stoppage. It was a fine stoppage.
Mike, stop trying to read them in the comment section.
Listen, you gotta wear the producer role,
Oh, and when someone says we're anti-UFC. Oh yeah, I hate the UFC. That's why I cover the UFC and MMA for a living. That's why Jose flies down to friggin' Miami, flies around the world covering this because he hates the UFC. Oh, Jose, such a UFC hater. How dare you're taking all your time? Jeez Louise.
Hey, AK, what'd you have for breakfast today? That's a more interesting conversation.
I actually haven't eaten. So maybe I'm in a cranky mood. I apologize.
You're just a breakfast hater.
Clearly, because I didn't have it. MMA fighting pushes this anti-breakfast agenda. I'm gonna close.
Here's an interesting.
Sorry. Yes.
Any 85ers in town, Jose, that you didn't expect to see?
Yeah. Gerald, Meerschaert, and Joe Pyfer.
Well, you expected them. I don't know if Paulo was walking around or who knows. Maybe Colby's gonna weigh in again for this fight.
He can make it. Listen, we know he's where has he been? Do you think he's not in Miami?
I
don't know.
He's gonna be in the arena, right? Colby Covington. How's that? Colby Covington.
I don't know. I can't be 100 feet away from
This is true. I was worried during the embedded. I don't know if people saw the embedded from yesterday where Jorge Masvidal goes to Mar-a-Lago to go see Donald Trump. I was worried that Colby was going to be there. I'm like, wow, this is an awkward situation. Like, what's the ruling there? I guess Masvidal has to leave. That's awkward, but there was no incident, or not one they caught on camera anyway. I'm going to close the poll. I think it's pretty clear. Most fans want to see Pereira versus Adesanya 70%, well ahead. Burns Masvidal 20%. I put Font versus Yanez in there. Excuse me, 8%, which I think is pretty solid for, again, two guys who are not, don't have the star power. But I am super excited for that Font Yanez fight. Mike, what is your read on that matchup?
50-50 fight. I don't really have a read on it. It's going to be super competitive. Again, you go back to betting odds. I see Yanez as a pretty decent sized favorite here. It's not like he's a 3-1 favorite, but he's a decent sized favorite. I feel like there's value on Rob Font at dog money. And I know maybe people are going to be like, oh, it's a New England bias. No, Rob has just fought better guys than Adrian. And, to Adrian's credit, he's fought short notice opponents. He's fought short notice replacement opponents. He's fought Davey freaking Grant, where there's like very little risk reward that goes into your favor fighting a guy like Davey Grant, because that dude is just an absolute animal. But Rob has just fought everybody, from John Lineker to Rafael Sunsao to Pedro Munoz to Jose Aldo to Marlon Vera, Cody Garbrandt. The list goes on and on. I just feel like Rob has been in there with just much better competition than Adrian has. And I love this matchmaking because Rob has a chance to get back on track. These two dudes are going to deliver in a very fun, compelling fight. It's going to be super close. And you're trying to build up this new star in Adrian Yanez, who, if he goes out and beats Rob Font, like, they're going to strap the rockets to him, and they absolutely should. But if he loses a competitive decision, it doesn't hurt Yanez that much, especially if it's a fun fight. People are still going to like him, and people are still think he's going to, are still going to think he's really good. So I think this is picture perfect matchmaking for both guys. Now, obviously, there's a lot more pressure on Rob to try to get back on track. He's getting a step back in competition, going from Jose Aldo to Marlon Vera to Adrian Yanez. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. We're just looking at it from a rankings perspective. I love this fight. This is a tough one. This is a really tough one to call. The main event's tough to call. This is really tough to call. And the Chris Curtis, Kelvin Gastelum fight is really tough to call. So can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it play out. I think it's going to be a very, very competitive fight, and we'll see who gets it done. Let's see if Adrian Yanez is just really, really good, or if he's like for real. And both are still pretty damn good places to be in at 135.
Yeah, a lot of fighters this week having very, very high praise for Adrian Yanez. I think Jorge Masvidal was pegging him as like a future champion. I have called him the best boxer in all of MMA. Not just in the bantamweight division. I think Yanez is right up there. So I'm all in on it. As you said, Font, small underdog, plus 155 right now on DraftKings. And
I like that number.
It's not a bad number. Again, hashtag don't gamble on MMA, people. You didn't hear from me. Please use code the MMA Hour. So I'm just reminding people to tune into the stream. Hopefully I put in the right link there. All right.
Ticker's back on the bottom, people.
The ticker's back. Yeah, people, you don't need to ask about weigh-ins. Check out the ticker. I see people ask about Izzy. You could even, the pinned comment, guys, at the top of YouTube is I've let you guys know that Izzy has come in. We are still waiting for Alex Pereira. And Mike, I like that you brought up quality of competition, because that's always something when I'm doing my predictions, I'm always looking at. Now, it's not necessarily a great gauge. I've been wrong many times saying an older, more experienced fighter that has fought better competition will win, and then they inevitably get passed by just by a younger fighter who's on the come up. But it's really something to look at, because you do raise a good point. I know a lot of people are, Rob Font's lost his last two. I know a lot of people are counting him out, but people forget he didn't look bad against Jose Aldo. He didn't look bad against Marlon Vera. The striking numbers are favorable to him. The stats don't tell the story, of course. He did not, Aldo and Vera both scored the more damaging strikes. I have those decisions were very accurate, perfectly judged, but it's not like Rob Font got like blown away by Aldo or blown away by Marlon Vera. He's in there with those guys. And those are two of the best 135ers in the world. So he has looked very good. Again, like I said, all in on Yanez for sure, but Rob Font decision win, or it would not surprise me in the slightest. It's a great fight. Perfect. Do we have a name for the third fight from the, on the card? It feels like, because I feel like it's a relevant spot, but we just say Featured. There you go. Featured. Okay. We have main event, co-main, and the featured bantamweight bout, Rob Font, Yanez. Mike, you also raised a good point about how we got a lot of close matchups on this card. Like, I know, I'm sure some of the odds are telling a different story. Like you said, Joe Pyfer, minus 200 favorite, or not anymore, but I think it was minus 200 at one point over Gerald Meerschaert. But like that could easily go in Gerald Meerschaert's favor if it goes past the first round, right? We don't know. I think Karl Williams being a minus 500 or something,
minus 410
over Chase Sherman is insane. I know Chase Sherman. I get it. Chase Sherman is not an elite heavyweight. His record in the UFC, this probably won't surprise anyone. Across 3 stints with the promotion, 4-10. 4-10. It's bad. I get it. It's bad. Karl Williams looked decent in his debut for sure. And he's taking this on short notice. He has a kind of style that's probably going to wear Chase Sherman out. But I don't think any heavyweight in their second UFC fight that's not Gelton Almeida should be, or John Jones when he defends his title for the second time. But you know what I mean? Fighting the UFC for the second time should be a minus like 460, 500. But that's absurd. It's heavyweight. Something so I don't like it. Again, I would tell people not to touch that one. But
he's
you know
is he the biggest favorite? He's the second biggest favorite on the card. Biggest favorite on the card.
Who's bigger?
Gilbert Burns.
Really?
Gilbert Burns minus 450.
Minus 450 for Gilbert Burns.
A lot of live dogs on this card.
Damn.
A lot of live dogs on this card.
Listen, don't listen to me. Don't listen to Mike. Don't listen to Jose. We got a podcast called No Bets Barred. You guys can check that out.
They agree. A lot of live dogs on this card.
There you go. Jed, and Connor Burks always bringing it. A really, really great episode. Make sure to check out the Chat GPT prediction for Chris Curtis versus Calvin Gastelum, a fight that Jed admitted he had no feel for. So he sent it, guys. He sent it into the AI. He has conscripted the AI, and I believe they're predicting, as always, a back and forth fight. So far, pretty consistent with that, and a Calvin Gastelum knockout. Computers are picking a late Calvin Gastelum KO. So make of that what you will. Hashtag don't gamble on MMA, guys. We are still waiting on one half of the main event, Alex Pereira, one half of the co-main event, Jorge Masvidal. So a few big names still to come, but we've got some fights official as well. 2 of the main card fights, Holland Ponzinibbio, Font and Yanez, and we are still waiting for the main card opener, Raul Rosas Jr. and Christian Rodriguez. So, Mike, what do you think about that card being on that fight? Excuse me, that fight being on the main card.
The Rosas fight?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised. It's kind of where it should be, honestly, because it's going to be mayhem between those 2 guys. Both guys are very good grapplers. Christian's kind of chaotic in his own way, and even if the matchmakers are not dumb, they're very smart people. And while you could look at how the UFC builds prospects overall and kind of like find some negativity with it, when they have their eye on somebody, when they pinpoint a specific fighter that they're going to push, they do a tremendous job of doing that. And this matchup is on this card. Raul Rosas fighting Christian Rodriguez for a reason. There's a reason this fight's happening. Matchmakers have put this together for a reason. One of 2 things is going to happen. Either these 2 are just going to beat the brakes off of each other and it's going to be a fight of the night kind of battle, or Raul Rosas Jr. is going to run this man over and finish him in 2 minutes. It's going to be good matchmaking. So I'm glad it's here. Bantamweights never let you down. It's very rare that they do. And let's see what this kid can do. I mean, they put him in a big spot for in his debut. Put him on a fight card that had a lot of attention, a lot of movement, and kid goes in on his debut and just beats the hell out of Jay Perrin in a performance. People were wondering if the lights are going to be too bright, and they weren't then, and I don't think they're going to be now. So, yeah, I like that it's on. I like that it's the first fight of the main card. If this is like where Font Yanez is, I would have more of an issue with it. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it's the main card opener, it's going to be an absolutely chaotic battle for as long as it lasts. I think Christian's going to scramble and have some success, but Rosas is just an animal, man. And we'll see how that one plays out. It's either going to be a fight of the night or Rosas is just going to run him over.
Yeah, I think you're right. I love it as the main card opener because I'm just trying to imagine. Again, it's hard to gauge how many people would casually tune into a pay per view. But let's say you're someone who only watches a handful of UFC pay per views a year, and you don't follow Contender Series religiously, you don't follow Fight Nights religiously, and then you suddenly see the first thing you see in the pay per view is an 18-year-old kid walking out for a fight. It's gonna get you talking. You're gonna talk to your friends about it. So maybe this is the right move. And Christian Rodriguez, yeah, solid opponent, but. On DraftKings.
Are we back? Oh man, who's it gonna be?
Heavyweight. No, I'm joking. They're not showing up till later.
A lot of people are wondering about the graphic, the Casey graphic. Casey's on vacation, well deserved. So we're doing the best we can here. We're trying to do makeshift thing. We wanted to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, I see people asking how long is there to make weight. Guys, it's always 2 hours. It starts at, I guess they might not know when the weigh-in started. Sorry, weigh-in started at 9 a.m. Eastern time, so about 40 minutes ago. So fighters have about 80 minutes to go, hour and 20 to go. Again, no misses so far, no reasons to be concerned yet. I'm sure every time Alex Pereira has to weigh in at 185, everyone is just asking how the hell does this guy make it? But no issues in the UFC so far and has made championship weight, at least for a championship fight one time. So we'll see. But yes, I imagine people will be sweating this until they see the champion show up, understandably so. I was saying Raul Rosas minus 240 on DraftKings, which I think is a good number. If this was Bellator and he was like on the prelims, he'd be like a minus 800 favorite. So I think people are.
We have a lot of movement.
I think there's value. I think there's value on Rosas at minus 240. Honestly,
what is going on?
Scale is broken. We're starting all over again.
Don't say. Oh yeah. Those are all misreadings. Those are all misreadings.
Our next fighter to the stage, the man who got us back to the 305, the unquestioned king of Miami, and number 11 ranked UFC welterweight contender Jorge Masvidal.
Jorge Masvidal.
Massive moment for him.
£171, the official weight for Jorge Masvidal.
171 for Jorge Masvidal, the real man who this card was built around. And his fight with Gilbert Burns is now official. Perfect.
Yes.
So there you go, guys. We are still waiting again for Raul Rosas Jr. and Christian Rodriguez for the main card opener, and Alex Pereira for the main event. But that's 3 main card fights set and a handful of prelims. Again, people check out the ticker. That will be your graphic for today. Mike will do a little rain dance rundown. Probably not too long. We'll see if we can get more fighters to pop out here. But if they don't, Mike, warm up those pipes because people are gonna need a little breakdown of what we've seen so far here.
Well, the ticker is right there, ready to go.
There you go. People keep an eye on that ticker.
I could do a little rundown right now.
I think we may as well.
Hold on one second.
I think we may as well.
Hold on a second.
Oh, he's warming up.
Hold on.
Ooh.
It's called night driving, this music. So here we go. Here are the weigh-in results so far. We have Israel Adesanya 184.5 for the main event against Alex Pereira, the middleweight champ. We have not seen Pereira on the scale yet. Gilbert Burns, Jorge Masvidal is official. Gilbert Burns weighed in at 170. Jorge Masvidal, as you just saw, 171. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. Both fighters successfully make weight. Rob Font 135, Adrian Yanez 135.5. Kevin Holland 170.5 for his fight against Santiago Ponzinibbio, who weighed in at 171. Raul Rosas Jr., Christian Rodriguez yet to hit the scale. Kelvin Gastelum, Chris Curtis official. Gastelum in at 185, Chris Curtis at 186. Michelle Waterson-Gomez 116, still waiting on her opponent Luana Pinheiro. Gerald Meerschaert 185.5. He will take on Joe Pyfer, who also weighed in at 185.5. Karl Williams versus Chase Sherman. Heavyweights. Have not seen them yet. Cynthia Calvillo returning to 115. We have not seen her hit the scale yet. She will fight Loopy Godinez, who weighed in at 115.5. 160-pound catchweight matchup. Ignacio Bahmondes weighed in at 159.5. He will take on Trey Ogden, who is yet to hit the scale. Steve Garcia, 145.5. He will take on Shailin Nerdembeka, who weighed in at 146. And kicking off the festivities, Jacqueline Amarim will make her UFC debut against Sam Hughes, who successfully made weight at 116 pounds. There you go. There's the rundown. Back to you, AK.
Drama free so far. That's how we like our weigh-ins. Thank you, Mike. That was a gorgeous rundown. When's the last time? I don't know if Jose is able to pull this out of his head, I'll be amazed. We had 3 strawweight fights on one card.
No idea.
Yeah, maybe never. Honestly, maybe never. It's possible never. And they're all compelling in their own way. Of course, again, Michelle Waterson-Gomez, trying to kind of stop the upward momentum of Luana Pinheiro. Cynthia Calvillo, 4 straight losses. We don't know, but Lupita Godinez is kind of an interesting matchup for her. Jed broke at the Godinez broke at the hard data.
If we're gonna be nitpicky about people's last names,
are we being nitpicky about people's last names?
There are some people that host the MMA Hour that like to pronounce things perfectly.
Okay,
so
all right. Shots fired. My goodness,
fired. That's just a fact.
I'm sensing. I see. There's a couple of bullets there. I feel like I caught a stray. But Loopy and Cynthia Calvillo. Jed broke out this point. Loopy has never beaten anyone taller than 5'3" or something. Ariana Carnelosi, Lomo Lukbunmi, and Silvana Gomez Juarez, all 5'3" or shorter. So I specifically in the UFC, I believe. But even Vanessa Demopoulos is also a fan. Lindsay Garb, yeah, well. So I don't know. I don't think that should matter. I don't. But again, if you're someone who's kind of like picking fights, Cynthia Calvillo listed 5'4", Mike, an inch over the preferred Loopy threshold for height. So that's an interesting fight. Could be Cynthia Calvillo's last. She loses. You have to imagine 5 straight losses. And then heavily hyped former LFA champion Jacqueline Amarim versus Sam Hughes. Like we said, Sam Hughes a live dog, but Amarim with a ton of hype behind her. She's not just streaking right now. She's a fight finisher. She won her last fight with a very nice armbar. So all wins by 6-0, all wins by finish, 1 knockout, 5 submissions. So a lot of hype there. So strawweight division, doesn't always get a lot of buzz around it, but this is a kind of a nice table setter for maybe the rest of the year, Mike. I don't know if you have an eye on any of these fights.
I mean, I like the GM3 Joe Pyfer fight a lot. That's an interesting one. I mean, this is gonna be a fun one. Like, I think this is gonna be a fun card. We mentioned live dogs. I actually think Cynthia Calvillo is a pretty live dog, but there's obviously a caveat here. We need to see what she looks like when she steps on the scale, because she misses weight or she looks horrible, then I will change my opinion on that. But let's just say Calvillo comes skipping and frolicking onto the scale and she's smiling and she's in good spirits and she hits 116 or below. I think she got a good chance to win this fight. It's going to be, it's definitely not plus 230. That's for sure. So
Loopy minus 275, almost a 3-1 favorite, which seems a little crazy. And I'm a big Loopy Godinez fan. Seems a little nuts. 4 straight losses for Cynthia Calvillo. You mentioned the weight issues, Mike. That's right. I forgot she has not shown up to weigh in yet. She has missed weight 3 times in the UFC. 3 times, all for fights that were scheduled for 115 pounds, as is this fight. This is a strawweight bout. So there is a reason to be a little bit nervous. And this is her first strawweight bout, I believe, since Marina Rodriguez, UFC on ESPN card, December 2019. And she did not make weight for that fight. She came in 4.5 pounds over.
Yeah, she was way over on that one. Yeah.
So now you've got me concerned, Mike. I was just saying this whole thing about no drama at the weigh-ins, and I forgot we do have Cynthia Calvillo coming up, and she brings the drama.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not even an hour into it yet, so I don't think we should put the concern caps on just yet. But yeah, something to keep an eye out.
Plenty of time. Cynthia Calvillo, plenty of time. Please be healthy, make that weight. As Jose says, let's add the Jose disclaimer early on here. As excited as we are for some of these fights being official and for these fights potentially becoming official, nothing is real. A fight is not actually happening until it happens. Yes, until nothing. I didn't mean to go that deep with it, Jose, but yes, there's what is reality? Certainly no fight is real until both people are in the cage. We just learned that yet again with Alex Perez recently, who missed out on his.
Yeah. Also, don't forget, Mike's not allowed to make predictions. He's been suspended.
Mike Heck getting a lot of blame for that fight falling through, that great fight between Alex Perez and Manel Kape. Again, I don't believe in jinxes, but
yeah, I'm not saying any of that. That ain't gonna happen. Yeah, Cynthia looked good. It'll be nice to see her back in the cage at 115. That is not happening.
No,
all right,
no.
that's
you
not
didn't
happening.
say that. You didn't say that.
No, that was not real.
If anything,
the other one was very real.
You warned me. If anything, you just warned me about the Calvillo Godinez fight possibly hitting a snag. You're not saying that fight is official. We have seen Loopy successfully weigh in. We are still waiting for Calvillo. Kevin Holland and Santiago Ponzinibbio, Mike. Kevin Holland, Santiago Ponzinibbio. What did you think about this matchup when it was booked? Have your thoughts changed at all?
No, it's exactly the same. And I know when I say this quote that you like to say, it usually means just like meh, but I don't I'm not saying it in that way. My reaction was, okay, this is a fight. It's two dudes fighting and there's like nothing on the line. That's really what it is here. Neither of these guys are in title contention. I don't think either of these guys will really be in title contention, nor do they really need to be in title contention. Like Kevin Holland is the welterweight Derek Lewis in a lot of respects, where it doesn't matter who Kevin Holland fights. We just want to see the man fight. We want to see a man with the microphone in his face saying funny, hilarious things and entertaining the people. So yeah, it's just a good, fun fight. And who knows, maybe, if Gilbert Burns beats Masvidal, Kevin Holland, if Masvidal loses and no matter if Kevin Holland wins or loses, it doesn't matter. You can still put that fight together. So yeah, it's a fight. It's a welterweight fight. Two guys that are pretty good fighters that are fun to watch, and they're going to fight. And one's going to win, one's going to lose. But other than that, there's not a ton on the line here. Just, it's a fight. It's a good one. I like it in the spot. It's a good scrap. Yeah. But there's just not a lot of stakes put to that one.
Yeah, very, very good main card fight. Ponzinibbio, or is this? He's right. He got back in the win column in his most recent fight, his first win since June 2021, knocking out Alex Morano. You're right. Yeah, he beats Kevin Holland. It's a nice feather in his cap. Puts him on his first win streak in a while. But yeah, it's not like it's pushing Santiago Ponzinibbio towards a UFC title shot. Not that matters. Right? We always say every fight should not necessarily be gauged on, what is this? Does this make them top 15? Does this make them top 10, top 5, title contender? Some fights are just good fights, and this is certainly one of them. And it has enough name value that, I think it's a nice to put on the main card. If only we got to see Kevin Holland talk a little more trash about Masvidal on Thursday. That would have been fun. But
publicly traded corporate Dana is just, I don't think I mean, Anik would have let that go for a little while. He would have cut it off at some point, but he would have let that go. That's all I'm saying.
Jose, how was the press conference on the ground? I mean, obviously for us, it seemed pretty lively, and but I know it's always like 10 times. Whatever we're seeing on screen is usually like 10 times felt. If you're on site. So, what was how was that press conference for you?
I mean, the crowd was elite. The fighters outside of Jorge seemed pretty low energy. Obviously, because it's the Jorge show, and like any movement he made, people would go nuts, especially when he spoke Spanish. C- wasn't the best. I think they were shutting down media and you guys jawing at each other that weren't fighting, and Dana kind of poo-pooing the WWE merger. 3 of the biggest stories you didn't want to talk about or have people talk about. So slow energy, but the crowd was top tier, like elite. Like that was
I see
more rowdier crowds.
There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of equipment.
We got to.
This could it be the champ? Nope.
RRJ Raul Rosas Jr. is coming up.
There's the young man.
There's the young man.
Official weight 135 for Raul Rosas Jr.
135 for Raul Rosas Jr. We are still waiting on Christian Rodriguez. But the young man has successfully weighed in for his second UFC appearance. The 18-year-old young man, brother. He is no longer, if people miss it, he is no longer 17-year-old, but he made his debut at 18. He has been 18-year-old Rosas since officially stepping into the octagon. He was 17-year-old Rosas on Contender Series. Luana Pinheiro.
I thought we were getting Calvillo for a second there.
Sneaking up the rankings, she is. The biggest feather in her cap yet. Esteemed Michelle Waterson-Gomez.
This would be a good fight.
This should be a good fight. Check the odds here. Pinheiro steps up. $115.5 for Luana Pinheiro. That fight with Michelle Waterson-Gomez is official.
Banana.
Thank you, Mike. Luana Pinheiro minus 155 favorite. So some respect there. Michelle Waterson-Gomez. Do we call it MWG? No, it's not going to catch on. Michelle Waterson-Gomez, slight underdog, plus 135. So yeah, very good fight, close fight. Again, a little bit of respect being shown there, I think, even though she is the underdog to Michelle Waterson-Gomez, because people are pretty high on Pinheiro. But when you're in your, what is this, Pinheiro's third UFC fight, and Waterson-Gomez 13th UFC fight. Big experience gap there. We talked about Rob Font and Yanez, quality of competition. Who have you beaten? And people might be seeing Michelle Waterson-Gomez as, of course, in the latter part of her career, but might still be a bridge too far for Luana Pinheiro. Don't know. Not sure what people's thoughts are on that. So people let us know. What was I going to ask? I had another question for Jose and now I forgot it.
What?
I don't know. Oh, yes. For people who don't know, like me, because I'm a fool. Why did it? Do we know why it took 20 years for them to come back to Miami?
So I asked Dana that exact question at the press conference, and he said he didn't really have like a specific answer. I guess he's been trying to come back, but he did say like having Jorge helps. Maybe it's just expensive to run events in Miami. It is a very expensive city. Like just all around. There's a lot of events that happen at this venue where the Miami Heat play. Like when you enter, there's just wall to wall of every concert that's like ever been there, and it's like every famous person you've ever seen. So maybe it was just hard to like, because you have to block out 3 days. You got the presser, you got ceremonials, and then you got fight night. Maybe they just couldn't do it. It was logistically. Didn't really say an exact reason. But I asked him like, were you waiting for someone like Jorge? And Dana gave a really long-winded answer. And at the end, he goes, but to answer your question, yes, we were waiting for someone like Jorge. It's like, why didn't they go to Cleveland for so long? They got Steve and they went to Cleveland. I assure you, if I was a UFC fighter and was a superstar, they would go to Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, that'd be interesting. UFC Providence. That just sounds cool.
That's just a fact. They've never been, and they probably never will.
Until you get in there. Jose, get back in there. Jose, what was the last time?
Did you see that video? Did you see that video clip I shared yesterday?
No.
Oh, yesterday was the 10-year anniversary of my last amateur fight. And I shared a snippet of me getting kicked in the leg, punched in the face, and then a head kick.
Really
all within 8 seconds. And I was like, this is why I don't do this anymore. It wasn't ideal.
I abhor violence, especially against you, Jose. But if anyone wants to see that, please at Jose Youngs on Twitter. That is out there apparently.
It's not Twitter. Instagram. On Instagram stories, it'll go away forever.
It's okay. Sorry, guys. If you missed it,
you guys.
Slack. Tweet it to America. Tweet it to America and the Netherlands and Portugal. Jose, trivia time. What was the last event that was in Miami?
Oh, it was Matt Hughes and Strickland. I'm not Strickland. Sean Sherk, right?
Sean Sherk, correct. Yeah, main event.
That and Dave Loiseau was the the opener.
David Loiseau defeated Mark Ware by knockout in the probably Facebook actually probably not even aired. Probably didn't even air anywhere.
And, Join Ludwig fought Genki Sudo on that card. I know for a fact. And battle of former champions. Rich Franklin, Evan Tanner was somewhere on that card.
Yep, that was
The rest I can't think of off the top of my head.
Let's look at this. So you were correct. Matt Hughes successfully defended the UFC welterweight title against Sean Shirk by unanimous decision, 49-46, 48-47, 48-45. This was UFC 42, by the way. Sudden Impact. Sudden Impact almost 20 years ago. I don't want to say to the day because this would have been the end of April for UFC 42. This is American Airlines Arena. Is that still okay? This is that that's a different. So this is a different.
Now it's the Cassia Center.
Now
so
it's the
I believe it was the same arena. So it was the AAA, the American Airlines Arena for like 20 plus years. And then it became the FTX Arena, which everyone knows was that stupid crypto thing. And then that went bankrupt. So it became the Miami-Dade Arena. And literally this Tuesday, they renamed it the Cassia Center. I took off and it was Miami-Dade Arena and landed and it was the Cassia Center.
Apparently for this is all from Wikipedia, attendance of 6,700 for this event back in 2003. I imagine we'll have a better crowd this Saturday.
Jacqueline
Amorim, as an undefeated former LFA champion. A lot of buzz here. A lot of buzz. One at 15.5 for Jacqueline Amorim. She looked a little unsure.
That was dramatic,
right? Her eyes were kind of buzzing around like guiltily, like somebody's trying to get away from something in class. But no, Jacqueline Amorim made it. 115.5 people. Her fight with Sam Hughes is now official. UFC 42. So the same arena, yes, only 6,700 attended. This will probably be a big sellout on Saturday. I bet so that's maybe double, triple that.
Well, according to Dana White at the press conference, they broke the attendance record already.
Boom, yeah, I imagine they did.
But did you see like nosebleed seats, like on the resale, are like $300. So
and that's USD.
They broke the record, but like it's easy to break the record.
Okay.
Tickets are astronomical.
Wow, that's USD too. That's like $8,500 Canadian. It's like that would kill me. Give or take a few thousand. My exchange rate knowledge isn't great. Co-main event of UFC 42 again 20 years ago. Pete Spratt, Robbie Lawler. Pete Spratt won due to a knee injury. Robbie Lawler knee injury. So Pete Spratt of Blind Date fame and Ultimate Fighter fame has that win over Robbie Lawler in his record. Dave Strasser defeated Romy Aram, unanimous decision. Wesley Cabbage Correa. Sean Alvarez, second round TKO. As Jose mentioned, Rich Franklin defeats Evan Tanner, first round TKO. Dwayne Ludwig, unanimous decision over Genki Sudo. And Hermes Franco, Rich Crunkleton, and David Loiseau, Mark Weir on the prelims. This was so long ago. Joe Rogan on lead commentary, joined by, my goodness, Phil Baroni.
Ogden.
And Eddie Bravo was doing analysis for that card, if you can believe that. So 20 years ago, people, very different time.
Trey Ogden.
This is a catch weight. $159.5 people, 159.5 for Trey Ogden. Again, this is a catch weight, 160-pound catch weight bout. Ignacio Bahmondes, I believe, weighed in at the same 159.5. So don't be alarmed. No weirdness here. No one missing. No need for try to get the box of shame out of there. That fight is official. Trey Ogden versus Ignacio Bahmondes, 160-pound catch weight bout. So good for that. Good for both gentlemen making that happen. Why was it a catch weight? I'm trying to figure out. Oh, sorry.
Short notice.
Trey Ogden. Yeah. Short notice stepping in for Nicholas Mota. How short notice are we talking here? I'm thinking a week. Couple of weeks. Let me see what we got.
maybe a week and a half. Remember Moda?
March.
You probably didn't see it, AK, but Moda shared some
I'm
gnarly
good.
images of a cut.
I am not Bloody Elbows Kristen King. I do not need to see these things. I have no. She tried to send it to me, I think, and I was like, no. You know what? I'm good. I'm doing great.
Yeah, Kristen lives in another plane of existence.
She is a character. She loves it. She tried to send me the Finn Balor head wound from WrestleMania.
Oh, dude, I was there for that. That was a good
I'm
time.
good.
Pereira, go watch my WrestleMania coverage on my Flanders YouTube page.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, yeah, plenty of that from Jose as well. And by the way, I know. Sorry guys, it's I don't know if people know UFC WWE merger. We are now contractually obligated to talk about WWE. I think for 15-20% of every show. So sorry guys, that's if I want to keep my job, I have to talk about WWE. Maybe one of the in-ring wise, maybe one of the best WrestleManias I've ever seen. It was really both nights.
Day one for sure.
Yeah,
Very one was good. Great.
Night one.
Two was fine.
Two was not as good, but there was still some really good. I love the main event. Like that to me is that's how I like my pro wrestling main events. Just a lot of drama, a lot of wackiness. Yeah, a lot of wrestling, some slapping up, some sweaty men slapping meat. I quite enjoy. I thought the main, except I think Cody should have won, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. I thought Cody should have won, but
the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley match it's the gold standard.
I actually preferred the Bianca Belair.
What?
Match. I thought both matches were great, but I actually like Bianca Belair and Asuka. I actually like that match more. But both matches were great. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong either way. Note here. Like, how are the comments? Are they how much are they enjoying our pro wrestling talk?
Still, I don't know. Still a little grumpy.
Life goes on. But yeah, that was Jose. Jose has just been out and about. Jose, you've been out and about, man. You've seen some things.
102.
Someone writing power slap and pro wrestling. What a time to be alive. Mike, did you see Dana White's comments to the Associated Press? Did you see that?
Absolutely not.
And he was like, he's like, man, we've got the WWE now, we've got the UFC, and we got power slap. Like, wow, what a team up this is. Like, what a team up of these three like properties. And I'm like, you're not slipping that one under the fence, Dana. Nice try. As if it was part of this 20. Power slap was an essential part of this $21 billion deal. Power slap is right in there. I'm like, take it easy. He's persistent.
Listen.
He's persistent. God bless him.
Jose and I are on the same page with this. If it's for you, if you like it, enjoy it.
No, I'm not on the same page as this.
No, listen, people like what you like.
No,
you like what you like.
You're a bad person.
No, you like it. We're not gonna cover it. We're not gonna cover it. We ain't gonna promote it. But
no, I'm
if you want to watch it, go watch it.
I'm judging, Mike. I'm judging. I'm not. Okay, I just want to be clear. I am not with the company on this. If this is the company line, I am not. I am judging. I am judging you as a human being. I am openly judging you as a human being. If you watch this.
That one. I was in an elevator with this cat. I was like, this man is large.
I missed that. This is Carl Williams.
Yes, we got heavyweights.
Here we go. Carl Williams showing up with plenty of time. To win. And this is a quick turnaround for this young man as well.
£241 the official weight for Karl Williams.
241 for Carl Williams, stepping in for sadly had to withdraw Beast Boy Chris Barnett, but good for Carl Williams for jumping on this opportunity. He fought a month ago, again was victorious over Lucas Brzeski, and now makes weight on a week's. I should say, it's a heavyweight, but taking this fight in a week's notice. Good for him. Good for him staying in heavyweight shape, and. Jordan from Canada asking, are you seriously contractually obligated to talk about WWE? Listen, I'll let you be the judge of my tone of that bit. No, So many people. I saw so many comments. Oh man, now the MMA media has to talk about WWE, and it's like, I mean, we're not going to do it more than we already do. And some people don't. There's plenty of people in the MMA media who don't watch pro wrestling at all. But most of the MMA fighting crew, we all know us. EKC Lyden, big pro wrestling guy. Not so much WWE, but the big pro wrestling.
Get
guy.
out of here. Feel like he would.
He met Kota Ibushi. I don't know if you heard that. He met Kota Ibushi. And Ariel Helwani, of course, big pro wrestling guy. But not everyone. Not everyone is super into it. It's fine, guys. It's fine. Mike, this for me falls under your listen. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, umbrella. Listen, you don't have to. I don't think fans should be super worried about there being like an egregious amount of crossover. No, we've talked about it. It'll be logical promotional things, commercials, appearing on the other people's programming, some corporate synergy there, but don't expect, Conor McGregor to be marching into
You just use the word synergy.
I said corporate.
Define that word. Define that word. That is a fake word.
Corporate. Jose, listen, here at Vox Media, we are pushing initiatives. We are aligning concepts. I'll send you a thought tree. Don't worry about it. I'll send you a thought tree that'll explain all this. Jose, I don't know if I've heard you weigh in. If you've had a chance to weigh in on the MMA Fighting podcast or YouTube network about the merger, have you had a chance to let your thoughts be known?
I guess not really. I'm pretty indifferent to it. It's probably not going to change our lives. I think the biggest thing will be, I doubt the UFC and WWE will hold events on the same weekend now. I think that'll be like the biggest thing. They want to compete, but other than that, we'll probably get more commercials for the other two. I bet we get some playable characters in video games. Other than that, I mean, they're all on different networks. Like, until this the TV rights come up, and like say they do, because I also like they're going to be in the stock market like TKO, whatever it is. Like I don't particularly care about the stock market. I think that's just a crock of garbage. Until the TV rights are over for all three entities, SmackDown, Raw, UFC, and they package them all together as like this massive conglomerate, then it would be very interesting. Right now, I don't think there's anything. There's nothing to talk about because there's nothing. I don't think anything's going to change out. Yeah,
that's what our own Damon Martin has said the same thing. Of course, this is really about that rights package that's coming up. It's going to be massive. Whichever stream in the streaming wars, it's going to be a big, make a huge impact. And and then like you said, and that is when we might get a better understanding of how this merger is actually going to affect pro wrestling fans and MMA fans and all that. Mike, I see people getting a little restless. Oh, that was fun. Another funny comment. Now's not the time to talk about the merger. Maybe let's open up the questions. Shall we open up some questions?
Yeah, there's some questions.
All right. Let me let people know. Send us your questions now.
I just I mean, like I said, when I reacted to it, it's a good thing for everybody. Like this is going to be a good thing for everybody. And I think there's things that UFC does that WWE can learn from, and there's a lot of things from like a production element that WWE does that the UFC could take some notes from. Like, can you someone had sent me a DM about this, and they were like, can you imagine like an International Fight Week card produced by WWE, like that production team? Like they build it all out and build the ambiance and then just produce it with like the video packages and all that. Like it would feel a million times bigger because that's something WWE does really well. Their product, like if you watch Raw, it is stinky. Like it is a tough watch. But if you take all those, like if you watch Raw and you're like, oh, this is just the worst 3 hours of my life. But if you watch the actual like video package building into like a specific match at WrestleMania, it just seems like a million times bigger, even though the moment live sucked and it was boring and it was terrible. So WWE does that better than anybody. Like their video packages and production and promotion using their video and production, it's up there. I mean, it's up there with like the best in all of sports with the way they hype things up and tell stories and all of that stuff. So I think the UFC could learn a little bit from them.
Unless you're in the women's division in 2023.
Apparently, yeah. I did not watch the Raw after. I heard it was an atrocity.
It was
interest.
not
just
good.
there was all the women's matches, no build, terrible.
Oh.
Poor writing.
Yeah.
For WrestleMania.
Except
But
for
the
Rhea,
video-
Rhea and Charlotte was it was a weird build, but at least
video-
they
it just
tried
wasn't
with
great.
that one.
But like, okay, the two people you won the Royal Rumble. That's
Mhm.
the story. Like,
That's
there's
it.
nothing.
That's the story. Yeah.
That was,
But I think
that was the story.
But I think that's to
why
Mike's
Ronda
point.
went on. Ronda went on IG and like said all those things about it. Like her
Yeah.
past views. They were like, "This is silly. Like, what are we doing?"
But I think that's to Mike's point though, that like again for me, someone who hasn't been following WWE regularly, like those video packages again almost made me think that there was a storyline. I actually didn't know that until you mentioned it. I actually didn't know you meant that the build was so bad. I had no idea because I don't keep up with the WWE week to week. But the videos, I was like, oh man, this Rhea Charlotte match is gonna be crazy, and like this Asuka Bianca Belair match is gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
but I did not know the
looking
build
at
was
the
so
names. Looking at the names on paper, you would be like,
Yeah.
can't miss this because it'll be good. But like, cool. Like, there was nothing.
Yeah.
There was stuff coming out of it that would obviously be interesting, but no one's here for these comments.
No, listen. I mean, we are talking about how it can affect the UFC, right? And Mike is right. The videos, ESPN does a fine job with videos. Like they're fine.
Oh yeah,
but I think you could take it to. You're right. You could take it to another level. I do think that WWE, like their video stuff is fantastic. That team has just been top notch for decades upon decades. Go back to the Attitude. Like they just had an amazing production team. And even if they ever finally get that Cowboy Stadium show, I mean, you just take pointers from how they run WrestleMania because man, that show looked unbelievable. Like it made me want to be there so badly, like in the nosebleeds, like not even like, oh, I wish I had a front row seat to WrestleMania. It made me just want to be there just to see the scope. That is what they were able to sort of convey on, through television. And it looked magical. It just looked like, and it does every year. I mean, WrestleMania just looks spectacular. So if they ever get that big stadium show, I would hope UFC would do a little more than the usual dim all the lights. And I was talking to a friend of mine who used to be a UFC fan, a big pro wrestling fan, and he was hoping they'll do better production show because we agreed, like, if you look at a UFC show from today and a random UFC show from like 20 years ago, they look exactly the same. Like the production, the way, like when people are walking to the arena, walking to the cage, it's just minimal lights, minimal pomp and circumstance. They look exactly the same. Some people might like that. I'm sure the UFC likes it because it saved them a ton of operating costs, again, over the last 20 years. I would hope they would gussy it up a little bit. But listen, they're worth $12 billion. They're probably not worried about making changes like that. So, Mike, can I ask you? I'll ask you both. I have a name in mind. What would the tagline, this is from Jackson Bass, what would the tagline for this event be? Like we said, UFC 42 was sudden impact. Mike, what are you calling UFC 287?
It's something from the Lose Yourself song. Like for sure. Like Izzy set
Mom
the table
Spaghetti. UFC 287. Mom Spaghetti.
One shot, one opportunity.
One shot would be okay.
I mean, it's something like that. Honestly,
Jose, what do you got?
I don't know.
Ask me again, sorry.
UFC 287 : what is the title of this event? If they did it like they used to name events.
Game Bred Fighting.
Game Bred. I don't know. That brand might be a little tarnished right now. After I don't know if you want to co-promotion with his game. He does have an MMA promotion. I think we bigged up. We talked about the boxing so much.
FC, UFC.
Yeah.
No, it's actually Game Bred FC : 287.
I would go like Nemesis. They might have used that already. Actually,
they've used it. They probably used it 4 times.
They probably use it for. This is true. All right.
Arch Nemesis.
Oh wow.
just add different lines.
Oh, here we go. UFC. Oh, come on, AK.
What do you
UFC
got? I'm
79 Nemesis. George St. Pierre
really?
versus Matt Hughes.
Oh,
you're joking.
Oh, dude, there's
and Chocolate L versus Vanderlei, Lyoto Machida versus Sokaju.
Wow. Liddell
so
Vanderlei,
so many Nemesis.
One of my 10 favorites.
Bocek was the first fight.
Canada's own.
Just stacked with Canadians.
Pride of Woodbridge. Mark Bocek. What was I going to say? Yeah. Did he fight Eddie? Did he fight Eddie Sanchez? No,
Yeah.
that's different. Oh, that was Eddie Sanchez. Oh, yeah. He was supposed to kill Eddie Sanchez too, and did not work out that way for him. I should be reading the comments here. Resident Evil, someone says the quadrilogy. No, it's a tetralogy. Stop it. Do or die. That's not bad. From Fudge on you. Thank you, Fudge. Do or die. I don't think that's been used before.
The moment of truth.
Moment of truth.
I love moment of truth.
That's very one championship of you, Mike. That's very one championship. That's like there's a kickboxing fight in the main event. The Last Redemption. That's a little dramatic. Unleashed, Unleashed. Oh, they've definitely done Unleashed before. That's okay. You can't use that.
I'll find out. No one look it up.
Fourth, I actually like Do or Die.
Well, UFC Unleashed is an actual TV show.
This is true. That's a little whatever. Yeah. You can't confuse the branding. I'll move on. If people keep sending in suggestions, if you got them, I'll move on. The other one I want to read, Mike. I don't want to take over the question thing, but the occupant asking, has Adesanya put on weight because he plans on wrestling more? He was showing off.
He looks huge.
Yeah,
he looks huge.
Jose, what do you think? He's mixing the martial arts on Saturday.
Well, he looked giant. He looked big against Rob too, and he even said I wanted to get physically bigger in case of the wrestling. Against Alex, the first time he looked like he had trimmed back down, maybe because he wanted to be faster. But he definitely looks more yoked, for sure.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people commenting on that. He was definitely, he had the sleeveless look going. I think he wants people to know. Listen, I got a little more mass up here. I got a little more hard muscle up here. I don't know. I just don't know if I buy into the whole wrestling thing. But Mike, I don't know. Has that been your prediction so far? That I know you kind of touched upon earlier that we do see the mixing of the martial arts.
I don't think we're going to see the mixing of martial arts in this fight. I really don't. I think he's putting something in Pereira's head. I don't know why you try to play mind games with Alex Pereira, because it ain't going to work. I don't think anything mentally rattles that man. So the only fight that I think a prominent striker will attempt to wrestle with is Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. I think it would not shock me at all if Rob shoots a couple of takedowns in this fight. I don't think he's not going to become Rob Dwalishvili, but I think Rob would be served best to shoot a couple of takedowns in this fight. Get the fight to the mat. Rob's a pretty good wrestler.
Very good. Adrian Yanez is also very good at jiu-jitsu.
But Rob's a good wrestler.
Black belt.
Yeah, he's very solid down there. He's very solid, but it's not his bread and butter. And Rob's wrestling is not his bread and butter either. But it wouldn't shock me if either guy shot for takedowns. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. Even good old Henry Cejudo said the first guy who wrestles is going to win that fight. And I don't know if I necessarily go that route, but it's not a bad strategy. I don't think the other guy's really going to see it coming.
He would say that. Though. Henry Cejudo would say that. So you're expecting to see mixing the martial arts in the featured bout, maybe not so much in the main event.
I could be, like I said, I could be dead wrong because I have no read on this fight. It's the fourth time they fought each other. This could go a multitude of different ways.
I just have to think shooting on Alex Pereira has to be one of the scariest things you can do as a fighter, because anything that gets you closer to your head closer to one of those knees is terrifying. Just terrifying. That's why when people always say any wrestler will beat him, I'm like, maybe, but also again, you are literally having to duck your head down towards one of those knees of his, and if he hits you with a knee, you are dead. I'm not talking about you're going to lose the fight. I'm not saying you're KO'd. You will die. You will actually die. So just think about that. And again, Izzy is not exactly known for his Division I takedowns. So for him to change his style so drastically, boy, I don't know. I think it's a lot to ask. He did have a takedown in the first fight. But again, for him to focus on that just to win a decision or something, I don't know if I quite buy that. But the extra strength certainly can't hurt though. Mike, what do you see? Do you see any other I see some nice comments, which is nice. But any questions?
We'll get there in a moment.
We got
a second. I'm just looking to see who's left. So we're waiting on the champion Alex Pereira, waiting on Christian Rodriguez. We are waiting on Cynthia Calvillo and Chase Sherman. That's it, right?
That is it. Yeah, that's it. 4 people.
Okay.
One of them's a heavyweight, so Chase Sherman probably waiting until the end. Again, this is far from his first rodeo, his 15th UFC fight. What do we got? Yeah, just people asking how much time is left. Yeah, sorry guys. They started at 9 Eastern today, so we don't have the timer, but they
We
started
got
at
like 35
9
minutes.
Eastern.
35 minutes.
35. Yeah, we are deep into the second pretty deep into the second hour now. So if you people are so rude. So if everyone watching is getting a little concerned about some of the people who haven't showed up yet, and again, we are talking about Alex Pereira, massive middleweight who has to make 185 on the dot for the second straight time. We are talking about Cynthia Calvillo, who has missed weight at 115 3 times in the past. I'm the prince of positivity, Mike. This is normally where I tell people not to panic. There's plenty of time left. I'm sure everyone's going to make it. It's you can be a little nervous. I think you can be a little nervous for some of these people. So,
all right.
People, send in your questions. Send in your questions besides how much time is left and has so-and-so weighed in. All right. We've got a ticker at the bottom. We'll keep you updated on the time. Don't worry. We'll let you know.
I'm sorry I don't have the graphic, everybody. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Listen,
Casey's usually on the 1s and 2s.
Never apologize for being wonderful.
I'm just trying.
Never apologize. You're a wonderful man.
I'm trying to jazz it up, trying to give you a little something.
I'll go back. I saw a lot of questions when we put it on. People don't seem to be asking questions now. Where was the one people are asking? A lot of good suggestions for UFC 287 botched. Okay, I don't know why, but fair. What do we got? We mentioned before Mayhem in Miami. We put that on screen. That's a great one. Frozen like Elsa. I don't know. That man, he's that did not age well. That line did not age well. It wasn't great at the time, I don't think. And then it's only kind of gotten worse. All right, let me here we go. Okay, I'll this has kind of been asked before, I feel like, but this is good. There we go. We got to talk about this. Michael Panza. Guys, if Jorge if Jorge loses to Burns, do you think he puts his gloves down in the cage and retires? I'm a pretty hard yes. Jose, what do you think?
I think it'll depend on how he loses. Because if he gets absolutely melted, he might not even get the opportunity to do that because they might just usher him away. I don't know, because there's still like fights for him that would sell. Like if him and Kevin Holland lose, that fight sells obviously because of what's happening. If he loses and if he loses, he could fight the loser of Leon and Colby, and both of those fights would still sell. So I don't know. I think it would depend on how he loses. Like if he gets melted, maybe. But if it's like a back and forth war, and it's like a tight fight and it's a close fight, then I doubt it. But I don't. I do think he won't speak any English in his post interview. Also, we have a lot of movement right now.
Okay. Mike, go ahead.
Jose, did anybody ask Dana? I didn't watch the whole presser. Did anybody ask Dana about the gloves?
No, we were asking about that felt like a post-fight thing because he was there like, he didn't want to talk about UFC. There you go.
Ooh.
Alex Pereira. $185 for Alex Pereira.
Never a doubt.
Never
a doubt.
That main event with Israel Adesanya is now official.
Incredible.
I was tweeting out that he made. I need to take a rewind a little bit here on YouTube. Take a look at him. He looks good. He doesn't look.
He didn't need the box either.
And guys, we will have, of course, replays for you of the main event weigh-ins. We'll have replays of the co-main event weigh-ins as soon as we can. So if you missed it, don't worry. Again, Israel Adesanya weighed in much earlier. I believe we already did one replay, but we'll have more of that if you guys missed it. Yeah, and Alex Pereira looks good. Again, he needs to take a little more time. I'm sure they have a process for him at this point to make 185, and if it involves a little more sort of weigh-in day cutting, so be it. He looks like he's in great shape. And just as everyone says, again, I've never seen him live. I know, Jose, you have a few times now. Just a monster of a human being. Somehow makes 185. Very strange. Yeah, Mike, what are your thoughts on the curved gloves? Because they did, I did see a comment asking about them. So, how are you feeling about this finally being implemented?
I mean, well, at least they're trying something. At least they're trying. So I can appreciate that. So we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, we'll see how tomorrow looks. We'll see how the first couple fights go. If it's going to be an issue, if there's going to be constant adjustments being made. It just felt like we just saw a clip of Gilbert Burns putting gloves on and embedded, talking about the different curves and everything, and that's like all we know about it.
Obviously, everyone in the chat and you two watch Media Day because we consume the product. Gilbert Burns said that they've had these gloves since January. They're the same gloves he used in Rio. Just no one's talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Because it's their 30th anniversary and one has a big 3-0 on it. So he said like every fight card this year has used these. He's just really the first one to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Very interesting. Did Cameron Simon use these in his last fight? That's what I want to know.
He must have, AK.
Yeah, because I want to know how this affects Cameron Simon, because his offense is, I'm just saying, you're taking away one of his weapons, and I just don't think that's fair. But I guess, sorry, so snarky. Someone asked, I'll answer this real quickly. Why is Calvillo, this is from Moff Flaughter, why is Calvillo not forced to move up after missing 3 times? She did.
She did.
She moved up. This Saturday is her return to 115. So she went up to 125, did not have a lot of success there. Looks like they're giving her one more shot. I'm sure she said, listen, if you're, one more shot, let me try to make 115 one more time. Early on, she was ranked at 115. She looked like a contender. The UFC clearly liked her. And then just the troubles with making weight, and then, not much doing at flyweight, unfortunately. So she did move up. This is her return. If she loses again and is still around, feel free to ask us again why, because I'm not entirely sure. But listen, someone in the office liked her, and that's all you need really to stick around in the UFC long enough.
I think this is definitely do or die for her. Like she has to make weight and she has to win.
It's the name of the
100%.
I think whoever suggested, I think it was Fudge, the name of the event, do or die. Yeah, listen, Izzy Adesanya, Masvidal, maybe he retires. Like we said, Cynthia Calvillo.
I don't think it's the same for Gastelum though. Like if Gastelum loses to Curtis, I think he'll still stick around a little bit if he wants to. But I don't know.
Maybe he. Here we go. And here's our other heavyweight of the day, Chase Sherman.
This is going to be a heavyweight over if I've ever seen one.
249.5 for Chase Sherman. His fight with Karl Williams is now official. Keeping with the do or die theme, Sheila wants to know, what do you think will happen to Izzy and his career if he loses a close fight? What do you think will happen to Izzy and his career? Oh, I think, okay, this is like 3 different scenarios. What happens to him if he loses a close fight? What happens if he loses a one-sided fight? Or what do you think happens to him if he's finished? So it's kind of 3 questions in one. So Mike, first thing, let's say he loses a controversial decision. Where do you think they go? They don't run it back right away, do they?
I don't know.
You got to move on, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough. Like this division's so interesting right now because like a lot of people are like, oh, Izzy's done in the title picture if he loses this fight. And I don't think that's true. As long as Pereira's the champion, he's out of the title picture, at least for the time being. Mm-hmm. But if they book Pereira versus Robert Whittaker, which I think you'd have to do that at this point. You do Hamza versus Costa, and then you do Whittaker challenging Pereira. And if Whittaker wins that fight, Whittaker's going to want that Adesanya fight because that's the number 1 fight on his wish list right now to try to get that back. And Adesanya already has 2 wins over Whittaker. And I think Whittaker would have a very good stylistic chance of beating Alex Pereira. So it's not like Izzy would just have to take another fight with somebody else. I don't know. Or he just sit and wait and just see if Whittaker wins the title. So I don't think it crushes them all together, but puts him in an interesting spot. Does he just take time off and bulk up and go up to 205? Like, I don't know. He's in an interesting place. his post fight, if he loses, is going to be really interesting. The interview, what he says to Joe Rogan afterwards, all that stuff's going to be really interesting to see where his mind is at. Because it doesn't seem like the guy who just throws stuff out there just to throw stuff out there. Some guys will say, oh, I'm done. I'm never, thanks for watching my career. I appreciate you. And we're like, oh, maybe he's retiring. But if Izzy's going to retire, he'll just say like he's done. I think all options are in play here with a guy like that. We talked about this on BTL yesterday. If he retired, wouldn't surprise us. If he moved to 205, wouldn't surprise us. If he just hung around, took other fights, wouldn't surprise us. If he goes to boxing, wouldn't surprise us. Like all of these things are in play with a guy like Israel Adesanya. He crosses over in such a main way, in such a big time way, but it's tough, man. He's in a weird place, very weird place. Second best middleweight of all time, and could be down 2-0 in title fights against a guy who's down 2-0 in kickboxing fights. So compelling stuff. So many storylines of this fight.
Jose, do you agree? It's pretty much up in like this, impossible to say until after Saturday night. I mean, do you have a read on it at all, or do you just need to see how it plays out?
Say it again one more time. Sorry, I was editing.
Do you agree that like it's really impossible to even guess where Izzy's going after this fight if he loses, whether it's by close decision, one-sided decision, whether he's finished or not? Do you think it doesn't matter? Like there's just no way for us to know until it happens.
If it's one-sided, then like that. But if it's like a Kelvin Gastelum fight, who knows? Both of those things, he can retire for both of those from damage, or I don't know. I generally know he's not ever struck me as someone that's been in his career.
Yeah, he like Mike said, he has options. He has so many options. There's probably and he said, most of his answers this week have been, I'm just focused on this fight. I'm just focused on the fight. I'm just focused on the fight. Of course, he's still, he's Izzy. He's going to drop a few pop culture references, the 8 Mile stuff. But yeah, this has been, he's really trying. I feel like he's really trying to portray listen, I'm all business this week. Don't bother me with these other storylines. I need to focus on winning. And he's right. Listen, it's our job to ask questions. It's our job to get headlines. It's our job to find angles and predict things and answer questions like this. But really, if you're Israel Adesanya, you cannot possibly give two craps about what happens after, because he has to beat this guy. It's just whether it's because of the belt or just because for his own personal vindication. My God, fighting someone 4 times and doing fairly well against them the first 3 times, and then still failing to get a win if he doesn't win on Saturday.
Here's a fun little note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, drop it. Drop it.
As I was editing the weigh-in video, when Alex weighed in, he made a point to point at his shorts. Weighed in with the shorts on, because everyone was saying he would struggle to make
no box.
He's very subtle. He's a very subtle comedian and a very subtle like trash talker. Like he does these very these light subliminal jabs at people. I guess the big ass Pikachu wasn't like that subliminal, but still very cool though. So very cool, a very cool shot, I thought. I just want to answer someone saying, I'm surprised Rampage never went WWE. He'd be money for them. He did make one appearance. I don't know if you guys remember he was Quentin Rampage Jackson, when he was promoting the A-Team movie. He was promoting the A-Team movie, and I think he got to chokeslam someone. Don't quote me on that. And they did a whole bit. They did a whole A-Team bit. Him and I don't remember who came with them. I don't think Liam Neeson was on Raw. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But I think it was Rampage and Charlton Copley, I want to say. People correct me, please, if I'm mistaken. I'm sure everyone remembers this. But yeah, he did step into the ring once, not for a match, for like a segment and for some backstage skits and stuff to promote the A-Team.
So when they were doing the guest host thing, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, he was one of him, and I believe it was him and Charlton, and not Bradley Cooper and not Liam Neeson. I'm pretty sure that would have been pretty amazing. But
and he was in TNA too.
Oh, yes, and people reminded me he was in TNA, Total Nonstop Action. Now Impact Wrestling. What did he do in TNA? I
think he wrestled. Like he actually wrestled.
And then Tito Ortiz came out. Remember?
Oh, that's what people are saying. Tito. There you go. People reminding me. TNA thing was for the Tito fight. Oh, this was a Bellator. This is related to Bellator. Right. Bellator.
Yes.
And
yeah,
that was a fun time. I wish when they were kind of. See, that's the kind of cross promotion I wish we'd see from the WWE and the UFC, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I would love if they did that kind of stuff the way Bellator and then TNA tried to do. But It'll have. We'll see something like that eventually, but it's going to take time. There's a lot of moving pieces, and again, a lot of big names and big egos. So, no worries. So, video went down for big guys again. Fortunately, for any, I know some people are asking. Listen, check the ticker to see who's weighed in. But yes, if you guys want to know, Alex Pereira has weighed in. Israel Adesanya has weighed in. Main event is official. No problem there. Izzy a half pound under and 184.5. Pereira on championship weight. There you go, guys. The ticker's coming around again, so you can get a little refresher there. And Gilbert Burns and Jorge Masvidal also successfully weighed in. Gilbert Burns 170, Masvidal 171. So the big fights are out of the way. We're not free of drama. Yes, we are still waiting on Cynthia Calvillo, who is returning to strawweight, has had a lot of issues making it. I'm sure a lot of people are tuning in to see how that turns out. Again, fingers crossed that there is no drama, but obviously clearly not a great sign. Is it just Mike? Oh, and Christian Rodriguez.
Christian
right?
Rodriguez.
Okay.
Christian Rodriguez, who missed weight for his Contender Series fight.
Oh.
He fought Tracy Cortez's brother, Junior. Looked great.
Mm-hmm.
That fight was a scrap. But he missed weight by 2 pounds and didn't get a contract. So
did not get a contract, won one fight, and then got brought in to fight.
Kid too.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Got brought in to fight Jonathan Pierce as a featherweight, so obviously that was not ideal, and did not go well for him. And then returned to bantamweight his last fight and beat Joshua Weems. So he was back at 135 already for his most recent fight. Hopefully he's not having any problems here, because this is a nice spot for Christian Rodriguez. Much we talked about it being the main card opener. Obviously, he's the B-side to Raul Rosas Jr., but I don't think Christian Rodriguez had main card pay-per-view on his vision board last year. I don't know. I could be wrong, but very nice opportunity for this young man. Hopefully there's no issues with weight, and this goes on without a hitch. People, you got any other questions besides who made weight? Send them in. Someone saying we haven't seen the box of shame yet. Yeah, this is true. Oh gosh, I don't know if I need to ask this. I shouldn't indulge this, but Yadwinder Grawal wants to know: is Jose still interested in crystals?
I mean, I like them, but I'm not like I haven't bought them in a long time. They fascinate me, but like I'm not on Jessica's level.
Yeah. Jessica Napic out. Shout outs to Crystal Crew, Jessica Napic. Yes, to the Crystal Queen, I would say. We say Crystal Crew. She's maybe the Crystal Queen. She did help me recently purchase a free consultation on recommending a crystal-based gift for someone. So shout outs to Jessica. But and listen, I am not saying I'm a crystal believer, but the gift made someone very happy. So such is life. What's okay? Mike, people. So Chicago guy wants to know what's Israel going on about? What does he mean? He just tweeted about there's their rehydration loophole. Of course, this is tied to the Islam Makhachev Dan Hooker drama. But what's going on? What is this? What is this story that's going on right now, Mike? I feel like this is like we haven't heard the end of this from Izzy and his team. What's going on here with the rehydration loophole?
I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I knew the answer to that question, but anything I would say on this matter would be pure speculation, and I don't really want to do that. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure at some point Izzy's going to talk about this after the fight. So I think we're just going to have to be a little patient about it. And maybe Izzy will get into a little bit more if he keeps tweeting or going on social media and talking about it. Maybe he'll get into more specifics, but it's something probably we're not going to get at least his answer to until after the fight tomorrow night. So yeah, I don't want to speculate on something.
Well said. Jose from Max Rabkin. I don't know if you noticed these. He says, what's up with all the new tats? Gerald Meerschaert apparently has them, and Ignacio Bahmondes specifically. So I don't know if you've noticed new ink.
Not even notice.
Okay. So we don't know about that. If they miss weight, Jose, do you know if they get an extra hour in Florida? No idea. We'll find out. Sure. Again, fingers crossed. We don't have to find out, but it's certainly possible with 2 people left.
15 minutes.
We just found out that Alexander Volkanovski and Yair Rodriguez will be. Was it UFC 290? I believe.
July. Yep. International Fight Week.
in Las Vegas, right? Brandon QFG, regular commenter. What's up, Brandon? He wants to know: will the UFC have a Mexico card by this time next year? They have the champs and they have the prospects and contenders to fill up an entire card. Is it? Are we sure it's not happening this year? Is there a reason it can't happen this year?
Say it again.
What do you think the UFC will have a Mexico card by this time next? So
absolutely not.
What's the deal? What's the deal, Jose?
Did I tell you how much the prices were for the nosebleed seats here in Miami?
Right.
Do you think people in Mexico have that kind of money?
I can't speak to the economy there, but
that is the reason.
Wow.
Like,
so they wouldn't be able to
they could wait for the PI to be built. Like that could also they could time it with that, but they do not. You saw like the most recent Brazil card, but that wasn't like a raucous crowd because the prices were expensive. Like what would you rather, like, okay, Mike, you've covered Brandon's career forever. You stick Brandon Moreno, Alexa Grasso, Videne, all these fighters in Texas or Southern California. What would you rather be paid in US dollars or Mexican pesos? Pesos not great right now. They just also like us in Mexico, like we just don't have. Like, you can't do it. Like, you can't put ticket prices that much. Like, you'll get the same amount of people to go and you'll make more money doing it in Texas or Southern California or Arizona or New Mexico. Like, I doubt they would take a pay-per-view like that to New Mexico. But they can't do it right now. Or they could be waiting. I could just be entirely off and they'll still do it like they did.
Phoenix would be a good place for it too.
It would, but I don't know if they'll go back to Phoenix after the Charles debacle. Texas seems like the one. Like if they did it in Dallas or Houston or like they did it in Los Angeles at the crypto arena, like SoCal, with like because that is proper. Where like Mexico, Phoenix or LA would be the best spots. Or obviously they wouldn't go back to San Diego, but that would be ideal because it's close to Tijuana. But I don't see them going to Mexico this year. Maybe when the PI opens, they'll do a fight night or something, but a massive pay-per-view like that, I don't know. I think it's more of like an economic thing. Like they could do it, obviously. They have enough talent. And it would generate a lot of buzz. And I don't know if the trend, like Brandon Moreno won't sell a lot of pay-per-views, unfortunately, yet. But it's just like economically, it might be tough. Also, Mexico is incredibly dangerous. I don't know if they want to bring down a bunch of foreigners there. Also, we got movement.
All right.
That's a great breakdown, though. That's great explanation. Listen, safety concerns, dollars and cents. I mean, that's it. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So it's unfortunate, but hopefully they'll be able to get down there eventually. But it sounds like there's a lot of groundwork that needs to be done for the UFC to consider it. Here's Christian Rodriguez, one of our final two fighters to weigh in. He needs to make 136. I don't see any box, so he did take his chain off.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. There's a lot of adjusting of the scale.
Christian Rodriguez, over
137.5 for Christian Rodriguez, as John Anik just pointed out. That is 1.5 over the limit. We will see. Again, we don't know if he gets extra time. We'll find out. Give that information shortly. And if he doesn't, I imagine the belt will continue. I imagine Raul Rosas will want to take the bout still, probably with 20% penalty, and be a 137.5 catchweight bout. So there you go. Let me let people know. Hold on. Sad news. Sad news.
You got to make way for these opportunities, man.
I know. That is a tough break for Christian Rodriguez. Again, and I know people will say, well, 20% of whatever he's making probably isn't that much, but I mean, it's a lot to him. It's a lot to him. I don't know how much it is, but even if it's a couple of $1,000, if you're an up and coming fighter, a couple of $1,000 goes a long way, man. So very, very tough to see. Hopefully it is only 20%. I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
It might be more. You never know.
It might be more. This has happened recently where seemed like a relatively small amount. I think managers are cracking down a little bit, getting a little more savvy with how much they can demand to keep a fight on. Because again, I'm sure they know Christian Rodriguez wants this opportunity. So they got to negotiate a purse penalty, and his team might have to take a 30. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what RRJ's team decides to do. So there you go. There's our first miss of the day. And we are still waiting on Cynthia Calvillo, who has a history of struggling at the scale. That does not mean that she's going to miss today. Does not mean that. But she has struggled.
But she weighs in. If there's no box, I'll try to zoom in on the scale a little bit.
Okay. Thanks, Jose. Yeah, we could see there it did not look great. Even just first looking at Christian stepping to the scale, looked very unsure of himself, not super excited about weighing in. And then they took quite a bit amount of time. They had to move the weight quite a bit. It did seem very unlikely he was going to make it. And it wasn't like Vegas where the guy just kind of looks at it and then smashes it. They actually waited for the scale to settle down, and did not settle down in the right spot for Christian Rodriguez, unfortunately. But again, I'm pretty confident that fight will go through as scheduled, and we'll have. I should say, Jose, wait before you say anything. I mean, sorry, we'll be.
Hear that?
What do you say?
Christian will try to take the allotted hour to cut the final pound or whatever.
Interesting. All right, let me make a note of that on the Twitter for our social media fanatics. This will receive as a second hour.
1 hour?
As an hour, excuse me, to attempt a second weigh-in. So we'll see. But 1.5 is at 135. That's a lot.
This morning, a 15-5 flyweight competing in the women's strawweight division tomorrow, Cynthia Calvillo.
And now our final fighter to step to the scale.
She looks better than Christian Rodriguez did.
That's good to hear. That is good to know. There you go, 116.
Wow.
Cynthia Calvillo,
Well done.
116. Her fight with Loopy Godinez is official. Take that, haters, including myself, who questioned whether she was going to make it. Shove that in our faces. Shove that weight in our faces.
That might have been the best she'd ever looked at 150.
She looked
at strawweight.
Comfortable. She didn't look strong. Jose, what was that announcement from John Hanna?
Still waiting for Christian to reweigh in and see everyone at the Gastelum Arena at 4.
Okay, but it sounds like I guess they're going to pull.
There'll also be a Q&A with middleweight champions. Who are they? Oh, I have something.
George St. Pierre.
Yes. GSP,
Lyoto Machida.
Weidman, Vitor Belfort, and Lyoto Machida.
Wow, that's a big one. So it looks like, I don't know, I guess they keep the scale out, unless I guess they have to keep it out for Christian Rodriguez. I thought maybe something they could do backstage, but for now, well, we'll stick around, right? We've got 7 minutes left in the official weigh-in time.
It's up to you guys if you want to.
Well, Mike, I know Mike, you have
yeah, Mike, I think we're good.
Mike has a heck of a morning coming up for all you home HO. Do you say home, Mike? Do you say home, or do you like to say HOAM?
It just
Hoam.
shortens it.
Hoam.
Let's go.
All you Hoam fanatics, there will be a special heck of a morning coming up at the top of the hour. Obviously, might be a little bit of a delay while Mike gets himself sorted out, but that is coming up. Of course, there will be
preview show at 1 Eastern.
Preview show at 1 Eastern. I don't think I'm on there. I don't want to lie to America, but you will have the usual talented crew.
Jed and Shaheen will be joining me.
Mike, Jed, and Shaheen Al-Shadi. Fantastic. So, guys, that'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then there'll be ceremonials later this evening. So you get to see the fighters properly face off. But for now, I think we'll step away. Keep an eye on the socials for updates on Rodriguez. Again, I'm pretty confident we'll catch today. But and hopefully Christian will be healthy also by Saturday night. Otherwise, as Jose would mention, nothing is official until they actually step into the cage. So, but yeah, listen, Alex Pereira, Gerald Adesanya, that fight is on. Gilbert Burns, Corey Masvidal, Coleman event, that fight is on. Everything's on so far. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning on the UFC 287 official weigh-in stream brought to you by MMA Fighting. And we will see you guys later. Enjoy the show on Saturday.